Our children are the future, so why do we hurt them in so many ways? We're now joined by UNICEF's Child Protection Specialist, Mrs. Janet Cupidon-Quelo, on their initiative to #End Violence Against Children. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Now, a report came out titled "The Familiar Face: Violence in the Lives of Children and Adolescents." Adolescents will be launched today.
Yes.
This is a report specific to Jamaica?
No, it's not. It's actually a global report, and it pulls data from the global level, the regional level, the national level, giving us a picture of what's happening with children where violence is concerned. The report looks at 4 areas of violence. Mm-hmm. It looks at violent discipline and exposure to domestic abuse in early childhood. It also looks at violence at school and violent deaths where adolescents are concerned. And the 4th area looks at sexual violence.
Is Jamaica named in this report at all?
Jamaica is mentioned because it's one of the countries where violent discipline is prominent.
Is there a ranking to all of this, and are we ranked?
We're somewhere like 3rd, you know.
Third as in the worst, or third best, or third worst?
3rd worst, unfortunately.
Wow.
What are we seeing in Jamaica, Janet? When we look at violence against our children, what's the main kind of violence that we're seeing meted out on our children?
Okay. Well, violent discipline is one of the concerns that UNICEF has. We usually refer to it as corporal punishment. That's a term that we often use in Jamaica. And it's a bit of a sensitive and a controversial issue. There are many parents who believe that violent discipline is necessary, and they don't think of it as violence. They think of it as something that a loving and caring parent ought to do. But what UNICEF is saying is that there are alternative methods of discipline. Discipline does not have to include violence. And we see from the report that this is quite a common occurrence globally. The statistics show that close to 300 million children aged 2 to 4 worldwide experience violent discipline. And what are we talking about when we say violent discipline? We're talking about hitting, slapping, beating. But we're also talking about more severe types of punishment, which include things like kicking, punching, beating up, burning, threatening with a weapon. And so this really describes a range of behaviors that parents often think is okay because it's necessary. And, you know, one of the things that really jumped out at me in the report was a sentence which said that violent discipline is rationalized as necessary, you know, in many countries across the world. And what we find too is that violence experienced by children is often at the hands of people they trust, parents, teachers.
Mrs. Cupidon-Quelo, maybe this is asking for a personal opinion, but what has changed? I got beat. I didn't see it as violence at the time, even though I think my mother beat me up properly. And I think most of us here probably got that. And we never had the word violence in it. We were just being disciplined. What has changed?
What has changed is that a lot of research has been done. And it has scientific research, which has shown that violent discipline does impact on the minds of children, on their development, on their behavior, on their performance in school, on the way the way they relate socially, you know, and that these things affect them for a lifetime.
And you are suggesting that it always was like that?
It always was.
So
but now we can't claim to be ignorant anymore because the information is there, and UNICEF and other organizations are trying to get that information out there.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing is, I guess, when I'm asking, if we don't put some measures in place and some laws in place, people will take it too far. Because if you look at the violence against our children in Jamaica, we're seeing a spike, right?
Yes.
What is happening in Jamaica, not just with the violent discipline, but when we look at violence against our Jamaican children, what are the statistics saying? What are the reports saying about Jamaica?
Well, data from 2011 to 2015 put out by the Ministry of National Security indicates that the majority of child victims murdered during that period were males in the 11 to 17 age group. We have that sort of information. We know that this year we have from the January 1st to October 21st, a total of 47 children were murdered.
That's crazy.
Yes, mainly males. We're seeing, however, an increase in the incident of female child murders. That has been increasing. This is a troubling matter for this region, you know, and it's a troubling problem worldwide. In fact, the global report indicates that every 7 minutes somewhere in the world, an adolescent is killed by an act of violence.
You said we are the third worst in the world. They rate us
for violent discipline.
Violent discipline.
Yeah.
Violent discipline. That's the only. That's very, very specific.
Yes.
Is it because as parents we don't have the gift of gab, for want of a better phrase, that we can't communicate with our kids, and we just feel say, well, you do something wrong, we just lick you?
Have we investigated the root of it? Where does it come from?
But there are multiple factors involved. A part of it is just not knowing what the alternatives are, what other methods can work.
What are the alternatives?
Right? And you know, there are things like withdrawal of privileges, you know, timeouts, that sort of thing. And another factor in the whole picture has to do with parental stress. Sometimes parents don't know how to cope or how to handle their stress.
So Empress is my child. She does something wrong and I go, and I said, don't do that. What are we talking about here? There's no way at all you're supposed to slap a child, or is that what you're saying?
UNICEF believes in zero tolerance where that is concerned.
So you shouldn't slap a child for any reason at all?
There are other ways of communicating with the child,
didn't answer me,
right?
though.
Which are consistent with their dignity.
She said zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance.
Zero meaning don't slap.
So you should not slap a child for whatever reason.
No. And how many times have you heard a parent say, I never meant to hurt him, I never meant to hurt her. I didn't know that the stick was going to catch the eye, you know, this sort of thing. Things easily get out of hand. I just want to make the point, too, that sexual violence is an issue of major concern. And it is an issue worldwide, and it is certainly an issue in Jamaica. And in Jamaica, we note that girls are predominantly the victims of sexual violence, which is also true at the global level. One of the things that this report is going to help us to do is make comparisons across countries, because the data is being collected in a similar way so that we are able to compare. And, you know, this will help us.
No, go ahead.
Yes, this will help us in, you know, achieving global goals, you know, sustainable development goals. And
end violence. What are we doing? We have to come to a wrap. So I want to understand with UNICEF and the partners what the plan is to #end violence. After we have the data, we're looking at the global comparison. What is UNICEF going to do for the children with the partners in Jamaica? Or what is the plan?
Yes, well, we have already been doing supporting a number of government partners as well as civil society organizations that are working out there, and this will continue throughout our country program.
Yes.
We support programs at the community level, school-based programs such as the school-wide positive behavior interventions, which promotes positive behavior on the part of school children and rewards them for doing good things. And it's been working very well in a number of schools. It's being piloted. We are supporting groups like the Peace Management Initiative and Fight for Peace, and groups like E for Life, which work with girls who are survivors of sexual violence.
We have to go, ma'am. Is the report available to the public?
The report will be available on our website. And I would also encourage those who are into Twitter to follow us.
Yeah, because you do publish a lot of information
By the
there.
way, do you have any idea who is the worst country with the violent discipline? You have any idea?
I will get back to you on that one.
Follow Twitter today, and UNICEF can publish it. But I have to thank UNICEF because they have supported many programs in Jamaica, and some have been a part of. So we want to, end violence with you.
Thanks
Neville?
Child Protection Specialist with UNICEF, Mrs. Janet Cupidon Quayle.
Thank you. Not fight like fight. We got to fight with our words. We got to fight to end violence.